Hey, welcome back to another episode of The In-Between. I'm your host, Elizabeth. And if you can't tell, if you're watching this episode, I'm on location in probably the most epic, best energy, I don't want to leave this space room I think I've ever been in outside of vacation spots. But I am here with my friend Ashley Rossy. She welcomed me and stayed into her home this weekend. She lives in Gulf Shores, so we've been living that beach life. We've been talking about doing an episode for a year at least, right?
Yeah.
I feel like. So we came down to visit and I was like, let's record an episode while we're down here. And here we are. So yeah, for those watching, look at the space. It's literally as epic as it looks and feels. And you don't even see the behind the scenes. But anyways, I digress.
Yeah, you can't see the jungle
from
this view. You just see all the leaves in the back that I need to blow eventually.
We'll do some B-roll before I leave, and I'll tease this episode with and here we are in the jungle. Here comes the episode.
Yes, we need to film it because eventually it's going to have a big transformation. I'm manifesting a new backyard by the end of this year.
Ooh, okay.
She's going to do it, and
All
it's
right.
going to be like a whole transition.
Oh, I can't wait. Well, if there's one thing I've learned about you, you are a woman who speaks her truth and then sees to it. So I think that's amazing. But welcome to the pod. I love when my friends join, especially when they have really interesting things to talk about, which I guess all my friends have interesting things to talk about. So I don't know why I even said
We're
that.
interesting people.
I agree. So yeah, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here.
Is this your first time on a podcast?
This is my second time on a podcast. My first podcast that I was a part of, it was a wellness podcast, and we talked a lot about yoga and yoni eggs and divine feminine, which we're going to dive into. So, yeah, I love talking about this stuff.
Well, before we get into anything, how about you let the audience know a little bit about you? Because you are one of the coolest, most interesting, authentic people I have had the joy of meeting in this lifetime. So let the podcast know a little bit about Ashley.
Thank you. I love you, girl. You're so sweet. My name is Ashley Rossy. I live down in South Alabama on the Gulf of Mexico, 32 miles of beautiful beach, about 10 minutes away from it. I have a lovely home that feeds my soul every single day. It's my healing space that I've created.
Yes.
And funny enough, with work, I help other people find that as well. My main career at the moment is real estate, but love, light, yoga, meditation, playing, that's my soul's purpose right there. So to be able to share that space with others, I've been sharing the practice of yoga for the last decade. I started that journey in college, actually, in Kennesaw.
Really?
You know what? So a few of them, I want to say our sorority sisters, we were never in a sorority, but we were friends with all the girls.
We were default sorority girls.
We were every single party. It's just funny. We just didn't have to do all the things.
Yeah, we didn't have to.
And so, but anyway, a bunch of the girls from one of the sororities we used to chill with, they had a free yoga class at Kennesaw. And they invited me one day, and that was my first ever yoga class I went to. I had to have been 19.
That's surprising, because you kind of remind me of somebody who's been doing this their whole life. That's wild.
No, but let me tell you something. If I had these tools and practices when I was younger, I would have bypassed so many life lessons that I was not meant to bypass, obviously.
Right, for life lessons.
Divine lessons. So, but that just kind of piqued my interest with everything, and then I dove into so much depth within all of yoga when I lived in Thailand and India, and then past life for me as well. I was a scuba instructor at the same time, and traveling all over the world, just having the most incredible adventures all throughout my 20s. But I landed up back here in South Alabama and have just been rolling with life ever since, still teaching a little bit on the side, and just still trying to find beautiful ways to heal those little deep, dark shadows that we all got to heal so I could be my best self. So my daughter, I got a 2-year-old daughter.
And she's perfect.
She just keeps growing up to be the most divine, amazing, authentic being. And she doesn't have to go through as many hard things as I did. I hope she goes through hard shit. She should.
We all will.
Yeah.
We all will in our own way. But like, you heal traumas, and it's not to say to breed new traumas, but it's just different types of experiences. And I think that life lessons can be learned without serious trauma. So she'll learn her lessons. She just won't have maybe all the scars to different types of scars, you know? One thing that actually Stan's here somewhere. I jokingly called him my production assistant, but he's already like pissed off. He's already pissed off. So wherever he is, I hope you're having a good time. But last night we were talking about you and like your perspectives on life and how, you know, you and I both believe very similar things, but like I feel like you have so much more rich cultural ties to it because you've been able to travel around the world and you have such different perspectives and you're so grounded. And Stan and I were both talking about it last night, and I was like, you know, you like talking about you. So Ashley, like you're sitting right next to me. I was like, Ashley I've never met somebody with such perspective like her. And Stan goes, it's because she's been able to travel the world and she's been able to see so many different things. And I think that is just something, I don't know why I'm going off on this side quest, but I just want to say, your experiences, like, and you bringing them back to the Gulf, like, because I think maybe that's why I was thinking about it. You said, now I'm back here, wherever life takes me. And it's like, but you brought so much with you, so much culture, so many lived experiences. And like, even just in the weekend that we've been here, I feel like my mind has been more opened than I could have even asked for or even thought was going to happen, just in side convos, just in
we have gotten
dinner talk.
Deep, yeah.
Well, but I love that. And I love connections where, okay, yeah, this is our appetizer. Now let's just get into it. You know what I mean? And you're one of those people who will like deep dive right there. Like you're not afraid of it. You're not weirded out by it. I don't know. It's just, you are such a great soul, such a great friend. And, I don't know. It's great to know you because I do feel like I get a special little bit of magic from the universe because of your experiences, because you are so open about them. But anyway, sorry. Wow. I just like fangirled really hard.
My heart is so big right now. No, thank you. And I'm very grateful for you too. I love the energy that you bring and the peace that you've brought into this house with your partner. That just like, I was just telling you this morning, like, I can trust you to come in and like, I can chill, and that's a really intimate thing to be able to do with somebody in your home.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I was telling Stan that. I was like, I think it's a testament to like how go with the flow, how like, not that we're roommates, but it felt like that. Like we just, you know, like, oh, I'll see you later. I'm going to go to the store. Like this morning, Stan just getting up, leaving you and me, just go fish. It's like, we're just living in a little pod. That's just
on vacay.
We're on vacay. We're not coming back, Mom. Sorry about that. We are going to look at a house. So
we are going to look at a house this afternoon, and I'm so excited.
I love it. So, but with all that said, you do have a special energy that you bring, and I think anyone who knows you would agree. And part of that is like, I don't know. I probably called you a goddess, a water goddess, like 20 times yesterday in the ocean. But
I was a water goddess
in the ocean
yesterday.
You were absolutely. I'm like, are mermaids real? Do they exist? Are they making a comeback?
Absolutely.
And their name is Ashley Rossy. But you have a divine energy about you. And I don't know, we've talked about past life. Was it transgressions or regressions this weekend? We've talked about lost societies. We've talked about like our purpose in life and the great experiment, and that kind of stuff blew my mind. But these are the kind of conversations that we have. And of course, we're also shooting the shit eating gummy bears because like, of course,
best life ever.
Or we're talking about my octopus teacher and just having our minds blown by the sheer beauty, and I call it insanity of life, because it is insane to live. That's like my new statement. I mean it as like a joke, obviously, but like it is insane to live and experience. So I feel like you feel similarly to that.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I love that perspective. For sure.
So it's you just found yoga when you were 19, which that blows my mind. I'm still kind of reeling on that. And then you had all these amazing world experiences. So this is probably a very broad question, so we'll just like take it and then we'll just see where we land. But what are the biggest things that you think you have pulled from your lived experience to who you are now as a person?
I love that question.
I'm glad, because I was like, oh, that was a big one.
I love that question. I mean, obviously there's so much gravity to that, but kind of the first thing that came to me was so much more peace. As we all did through our teenage years and early like 20s and college, and you carry wounds with you up into those places that become really chaotic, and you're trying to find yourself and figure it out at 18 years old. It's just the dumbest concept.
It is.
For me, it's the silliest thing. But it really took me, especially with a lot of family wounding, like we all have our family BS that affects us in one way. And it's been my purpose in this lifetime to heal so many of those ancestral wounds. And so I found that the beginning of that through yoga, and everything in life is just kind of stacked on from there. And so the biggest lessons, especially over the last decade, from my travels, from diving, from yoga, from bonds that are forever unbroken with people all around the world, it's peace, so much more peace. It's like, dang, I don't have to carry that energy. And I am that power. I can create my reality. I manifested myself traveling around the world. The way that I did it too. I remember envisioning, like the whole visualize.
Yeah.
That was a huge practice that I did, and it really came true. And I'm trying to find that again where I am now, because it's something you got to constantly come back to and fine tune throughout those next chapters. Like the level ups, I like to call it. Like, ooh. I'm level 32. I'm not 32 years old.
So you like visualizing, like kind of like in meditation, like affirmation, like that?
Well, see, whenever I was visualizing, like for instance, I remember being in college and with the girlfriend saying, one day I'm going to live on my small, beautiful island in a little shack, and I'm going to have a tall, long, blonde-haired, blue-eyed island man bringing me coconuts. And I mean, I kid you not, that's exactly what I had. Like I remember even sitting there in those moments being like, wow, I'm powerful.
Wow, that's amazing.
And you hear these stories all the time too. And it's real. It is so real. And if we just give ourselves a lot more grace and a lot more love and stop going into these, I have to go X, Y, Z, A, B, C in this order, in this direction. Like, we're all on our own journey.
Right.
Stop comparing. Stop trying to fit in with it all. Try to find a way to let it flow through you, and life is going to feel so much better. And you're going to give that off too. And that's what I'm trying to find. And they're like, so much more work has to be put in to where I actually want to be, but I'm willing to do it.
Right. And you just kind of trust the guidance of the universe.
I'm just open to whatever comes. Like,
right.
You have an amazing idea that served you. Maybe I can take something and fuel it through me. You have an amazing, it's like, I'm not closed off to really too much, as long as it's
not, I have to do
love.
X, Y, Z, element of P in this order. That's such a good call out. I struggle with that sometimes.
We all do.
Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, is it my ADHD? Is it my anxiety? Is it all of the above? But
it's like when we were talking on the car ride going to yoga, it's continuously coming back to that mindset of this is a practice. Like I am constantly, we're so in a dense energy on this earth, and to keep coming back to that place of love that we were born with, that we were divinely, purely gifted. And then life slowly stacks on you through how it should,
Right.
And we have to, I think that's the whole point, is we have to keep coming back to that practice of love and remembering and loving ourselves exactly where you are in that moment. And that can be really hard depending on what life has thrown at you.
Right. And also just if you don't have like strong self-love, self-care practices, like strong appreciation for you, like you can let that inner negative mental spiral just take you down. Yeah. I know I've had that. I don't have it as much anymore, but that was like my mental, was from like mountain I had to climb during my depression spell. But going back to the love and the appreciation for where you are, it's also like one thing that I think has been a theme this weekend that you've talked about, and your friend Leslie, she was wonderful to meet, is play, like viewing everything as play. And that doesn't mean like careless or like not taking things seriously, but taking things from an approach of play. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Oh my gosh, yes, it's my favorite topic.
You're very good at it.
So in yoga, there's a Sanskrit word, and it's lila, and it translates to play, and it's meant to be a divine play in whatever you do. So it can be childlike, it can be dancing, it can be if you're at your work and you're just making it fun and giggly, or, I mean, really, it's everyone's own language. You know it, how it feels most authentic and most connected to you. And so for me, like, I love being home and I like to dance around or like act like I'm a tiger with Naya or a wolf. And then I have 2 huskies, so like doing the same thing with them. And like we'll literally like get into it fully. And it's just, and sometimes it's silly, but I love it so much. And I think that that's just what it's about. Keep coming back to those practices of play, because the world is constantly trying to tell you that something is wrong. Something is heavy, something is broken, something needs to be fixed, something isn't enough. And damn, it's all enough. Like, just let it be and be free. That's it.
That was beautifully said. Oh my goodness.
Thank you. That's a clip.
That's a clip. Yes, this girl took me to hot yoga today, and I don't think I've ever sweat that much in my life. And then I didn't have a towel, so I was slipping and sliding all over the place. It was great, but my neighbor next to me, he took my towel, but it's all good. It definitely made me...
There was a lesson there.
There was a lesson, like, keep your core tight.
Let it go. Let it
go. Keep it tight. Don't worry about the squeaking and the squacking on the yoga mat, but it was great. Yeah, you kind of kicked my ass this weekend, but with the play, like, I felt that this weekend. I know there's like I think it's still trending and things like that, but romanticizing your life. And that's kind of what I think of when you say play. But play just, it's a more like, I mean, hey, pick your word, romanticize, play it up. But it's this idea of, like you said, life is not about suffering, because there is going to be suffering. So like, that's just a part of the game. That's just a part of the rules. It's a part of the
yin and the yang.
Exactly. We didn't even plan this.
We didn't mean to, but we did.
But yeah, I'm in light and she's in dark. And I have dark hair and you have light hair. I kind of love it.
Oh my gosh.
We're really just over
this
here.
This is amazing.
Oh my goodness. But it's, I don't know. It's a reminder that, and it is hard, but it's just you have to constantly go back to find your grounding, find your romantic, find your fun, don't focus on the lack or the less than or what you like don't have or the negativity. Yes, you have to exist with it, but like I feel like finding that existence in a yin and yang world is easier when you have that fundamental strength of like love or fun, like kind of guiding you in your decisions and your actions and all that. Yeah. I don't know.
I love that.
Do I sound like a Rossy student?
Yes. Oh, you got it.
Thank you. Well, so you lived this wild life all over the world. You saw so many incredible places. I mean, yesterday you were like, oh yeah, I went anaconda hunting. Oh my gosh, it was kind of crazy. And I'm like, anaconda hunting? Like, you're just in the rainforest anaconda hunting. Like, that is just epic as shit. Like, I just can't even like, shortchange that. But then you came back here. Was that a hard transition? Like, because you came back to the States during COVID. Was that the reason why you guys came back, or were you always planning to come back?
So we were planning on coming back for our wedding, and then we were off to leave again. We were going to move. We were going to do 6 months doing a motorcycle trek from South to North Vietnam, and then we were going to move out to Hawaii. So that was our plan before everything happened with COVID. So when COVID hit, we were living in Cairns, Australia, working out on the Great Barrier Reef, and living in a share house of 14 people, 14 amazing human beings from all over the world. Italy, Brazil, Honduras, the States, England, Thailand. Cool. It was awesome how our little family mixed in, but it was beautiful because some people were divers, some people were chefs, some people were locals that were just, trying to find their way. And when COVID hit, we had a family that was in this place, and it was interesting trying to navigate a place of fear with that. But we also got so much information from all over the world about what was going on.
That is true.
To where it didn't always feel like we were reliant on the news that you couldn't trust then either, right? So that was beautiful. And we spent, because everything started to take effect in Australia sooner than it did in the States. So we really started to see stuff pop up in January.
Oh, wow.
And then February, we shut down. And then we left. We did a 3-week van ride from Cairns down to Melbourne, where we flew out of, which was really beautiful just to be able to have that last bit going through Australia. Because Australia is so spread out.
Yeah.
And there's not a ton of people doing that. So it was peaceful in that state where the world was at the time.
Sounds like it.
But the day that we were flying out of Australia was the day that George Floyd was killed and the police station caught on fire or was put to fire in Minneapolis. And that's where we were moving to.
Oh, wow.
Because my ex-husband's family was from Minnesota. And so we had a big plan. We were going to go back to Minnesota for a year, anchor down. He was going to use his GI Bill from his time in the Marines to finish out college, and it was also going to pay for part of our housing, and it just was the smartest idea when we didn't know what was going on at the time. But going from a life of living in the tropics for a decade on islands and to Minnesota during a pandemic, and also a huge just like divide in the country and anger and fear, and
which I still
we hadn't lived in the States for so long, and we knew the energy that we were coming back to, so we knew it was going to be a challenge. And a challenge it was.
I was gonna say, I feel like that anger and divide is still there today in this country.
Oh yeah.
I hope it gets a
But
little
I think more people want to join together in a place of love than not. I really do.
I agree. And I do feel like people are more aware of the divide now. Does that make sense? Like, I don't know. And maybe it's just the people I attract, like people in my life are very similar to that. But I do, because to me, I feel like for change, like I'm not naive to think that, awareness is going to equal change, but awareness is the first huge piece of the puzzle of like figuring things out. And I do feel like I sense a more general awareness of like, we ain't okay. We need to love each other a little bit more. Like I don't know. And maybe that's just me manifesting and wishful thinking, but that is definitely a culture shock to go from a decades life experience of anaconda hunting and go like all over the world you've been, and kind of living your life on your own terms in a way. I feel like, would you agree that to an extent? Like maybe not your own terms, but you get to do what you want. Like you're just, I don't know, I sense freedom. Like that's the word that keeps coming to mind when I think about your experiences.
Yeah, for sure. It was very freeing. I lived out of a backpack for a decade, and I had a partner at the time that was understanding of my need to go and explore when I needed to go solo for a couple months in India or a few months in the Caribbean, chasing with my yoga stuff or friends, or I've always been a free spirit in the sense of I'm going to go. And I love that about me.
I do too.
So, yeah.
It makes you very authentic. That's one thing that I feel about you is it's not even about like what you say is what you get, but like it's genuine, it's authentic energy. I don't have to second guess it. I don't have to overthink it. I'm just like, well, if Rossy does something, it's because she's put her like some thought into it and intention behind it, and that's her decision. And like, I believe in that. I'm gonna support it. I don't even have to know the why, the who, the what, the where. Like I support it because I know your intention setting, and I know like the effort and work you put into anything that you do. So, and I think that's just, I strive to get to that point. And I think I'm getting there, but like, that's something I think we can all strive towards. And I'm not trying to say like, oh, you've got it all figured out and you're perfect. It's like, we're all imperfect humans. But, it's also it's like muscle memory. You know, once you build it, maybe you fall off a little bit, but once you get back on the bike, you get back on that yoga mat, you're going to find that rhythm, you're going to find that flow, you're going to find that muscle. So anyways, with that said, but basically life had different plans. You come to COVID, you come here, and then you guys get married, and then soon after that you are pregnant, right?
Yeah, like a couple weeks. We got married in June of 2020. We had our wedding then. And then a few weeks later, I got pregnant, and I knew that I did not want to have my baby in Minnesota. So I said, it's time to go home. And home is Gulf Shores, Alabama. My family's down here, my grandparents, my mom. My aunt is just 5 hours away up in Atlanta. And I needed to be back at the beach. I needed to be in my warm, safe space, somewhere that I felt I could ground and nest for this next big chapter, which was Naya Ray, the coolest human being to ever exist ever.
Who roars at dinosaurs. I got her like this dinosaur bingo game, and
she's obsessed.
And she was so smart. Like, she was like matching the cards with like the bingo scorecard. So fast. And I was still trying to sound out the word, and she'd already found it.
Yeah, like, we're over here like irritator.
Catasphacus. Like,
that
what?
was it.
That was it. I was like, how is a child supposed to like say this word? I can't even say it. But then again, I can hardly speak, so it's fine.
It's fine. Words are hard.
They are, and I am a podcaster, and I'm always like, like I can't get it out. Oh my goodness. So Naya comes, but then something else happened. You and your partner separate, right?
We did. So about a year after I had Naya, we got divorced. And that was the hardest decision that I've ever had to make in my life. And it was a necessary decision. So when I think about my divorce, you know, on platforms like this, I want to be very mindful and intentional of how I speak about it, because it's such a personal journey. Mm-hmm. It's such a, you know, families are separated, hearts are broken, relationships, some are ruined, some are, you know, there's so much pain that comes into it. And the pain that leads up to it as well is so great. And for me, without going into everything, where I was in that time was life was so heavy, and so much had built up to that space to where I've always spoken my truth. You'll know exactly how I feel in the moments. And that's something that I've also had to work on over the years, right? It's a practice, like everything, but it just came down to I no longer had a partner that was compatible with me. And it didn't seem like it was going to get there. Even though so much time, so many opportunities, so much trying in our own ways. And of course, there's always more that we could have done. And of course, it takes two, right? Like, it's not all, I'm the one that wanted a divorce, but it's not all on him.
Right.
By any means. I was such a big part in all of that, in my own ways, with my own traumas, with my own stuff. And I leaned really hard into my practices, my meditations, my hypnotherapy, journaling, deep conversations with not only friends, but therapists. I dove into, podcast after podcast, and I took so much time just sitting with how this was serving me every day. And it took me from the moment that I knew I was going to leave, it took me 8 months to get to the space to be able to actually say the words. And in that 8-month period was such a hopeful, such a fear, I had a baby.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And that's not a light decision whatsoever. And she needs both of us. And I'm about to take away something from her that I always wanted growing up too. You know, my parents weren't together. They were never even married.
Yeah, same.
And my dad wasn't in my life.
Same.
And so it's just not something that even an ounce of me took lightly. No matter what anyone thinks along the journey, you know, it's so personal. And so to say all of that, there's been deep times of sorrow and grief and mourning and moments where I felt low and depressed, but never did I stay there. Never did it roll over me or control me. Don't get me wrong. I had moments where I was on the floor in my bathroom, sobbing, crying for hours and just holding myself like I was just a little baby. Like, what the fuck am I doing? I'm blowing up my life. Like you go through every kind of thought and emotion behind it. And then I just loved the shit out of myself through it. And I kept telling myself, I'm strong, I'm smart, I am powerful, and I am capable of making decisions to love myself and trust myself, no matter what that looks like or feels like to anybody else, because no one is having to live in me or through me except for me. And as long as I'm making these decisions from a place of loving myself first, loving my daughter next, and then also loving her father, the man who is always going to be in her life and also has to raise her from a place of all of this and try to figure out how to heal himself. And I think that that's so important to think about throughout the process of divorce too. And I understand why women stay. Oh, I understand why women stay. Because that's your baby. And it's also someone that you loved for so long. Yeah. It was your hopefully best friend for part of it. And now you kind of have to break them apart because you've been broken apart. You've got to the point where I have to get up and start this over. And you have to figure out some way to do that too. But I can't be the person that holds you through it. And then I have to look at my daughter and think like, oh, baby, I'm sorry. Like, you're going to feel this and there's a lesson in it. But I'm also a big believer that we have soul contracts. We chose these lessons in life before we even came onto this earth. And if I believe that, then I believe that she chose me as her mom. She chose him as her father.
She did.
And she chose these lessons in life that are going to come. And I know that as long as I'm loving myself, she's going to see that. She's going to know how to love herself and then give that out. Because that's what it is. If we're giving ourselves love, we give that back out inevitably.
We do.
Period. If we give ourselves hate, we give that back out. So
yes.
You choose. That's it. And so I chose to love myself through this.
That's beautiful. Sorry. That was man, I was like hanging on every word you were just saying. That was so honest. I don't think I've ever heard that said. I've never heard divorce spoken in such a beautiful, honest, raw way. But you're right. You chose to love yourself. I'm sure you didn't have this perspective immediately. Like,
oh my gosh, no. It has taken me, I mean, even up to now too. Like, so I'm a year out from the divorce, and us navigating this last year has been such a roller coaster. So many big, raw emotions. And you're also just like maintaining yourself. You're maintaining your triggers because you and your ex-partner know each other's biggest buttons to be able to push. You were with each other for so long. You got to the point of divorce because you're triggering each other constantly, right? And now that you're no longer in this place of partnership in a romantic way, and there's heartbreak involved in it, like you get raw. You do. And you have to keep coming back to, like, it's just peace now. Like, it has to be just peace, especially around Naya.
It has to be.
And for the most part, we do. I give us a lot of props. We do have a lot of peace. There's still communication that I think we'll forever have to work on.
Yeah.
you know? And we're always going to be in each other's lives too.
Yeah.
No matter what, you know? And I love him. I do. I love him as a person. Like, just because I'm not in love with him anymore, I never stopped loving who he was. He's so beautiful. Like, I'm not going to be with someone who I'm not going to love as a human being for that long, have a baby with, you know, like, no, he's cool. He's amazing. He's beautiful. He's handsome. He's strong. He's the father of my kid. And I'm forever grateful that he's a good fucking dad. He is. And that makes it so much harder sometimes, right? When it's all of those aspects are there and it's such a beautiful human being. And it's like, you know that you served your purpose together in this world because we had Naya. Like,
right.
Definitely. We're supposed to have her.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's still not right. Like, it's just not, we're just on different frequencies.
I was saying not in sync. So once you made the decision, you said it took you 8 months. When did you start to feel more like yourself? And that might be a loaded question because that's always evolving, right? And maybe perspectives and things have changed because now you're a mother going through this huge change. You're no longer all over the world. Like, you're in your hometown. How was that transition period, I guess? Because I just think about that one photo shoot you did, and it's like where you had that red, like, silk sheet or something, piece of cloth, and it was like, just everyone listening, like, picture, like, the most divine, feminine, like, goddess energy dancing in the wilderness. It sounds kind of silly, but, like, just, I just remember, like, the flowing of your hair and your body, and I remember that post. I don't know why. I just remember, and I feel like that is what started our whole conversations about what was going on. I don't know. It was beautiful. So I'm just curious, like, how did you get to that point? How did you step back into your feminine? And is that something you've always struggled with? I'm curious, like, leaning into your feminine side or in balancing the masculinity.
I feel like, okay. Right? All the questions.
Sorry, I need to do that. I need to be better about that.
So that post actually at photo shoot was done in Australia out in the bush at golden hour, and it was a nude shoot. It was with a friend who was doing this lighting and photography and asked me to be a model, and it was one of those moments where I'd never done any like a nude shoot before, but I'm very embracing of my body. I like, you know, just like, we all have boobs. I don't care. But it was so, I just felt powerful. I was like, yes, because I didn't feel like I had to hide anything.
Yeah.
I was embracing it. And so, yeah, those pictures, they hold a special place in my heart because it showed a side of myself that I feel, I am, and I emanate. And it captured that in a moment in time that was so beautiful. That was during COVID too.
Oh.
And I was, you know, you're spiraling around fear, and then you have this place of peace and power, and it was all the beautiful things. But to say that post was a moment that was right after I told him I wanted my divorce, and I had never felt so sure of who I am and exactly what I wanted in life. Like, especially in a partnership that was going to help me raise a child, help me grow within life, grow within my business, adventure with me, play with me, love, nurture, you know, in all the ways that I need. Because my ex was beautiful and he helped me heal so much and serve so much. And then it's like we got to a place of stalemate. Our bodies were no longer connecting. We were no longer dating. We were no longer communicating. And that went on for years and just kind of stacked up. And he didn't know how to meet me or try to meet me. And I chose to continue to meet myself. And I realized I want someone in a partnership that is going to do that. Like, it's our love languages. It's not just mine.
Yep.
You know, and I realized that that's really important to me. Like, you don't have to be full on yogi, deep in everything. Because I'm not. Like, I just want someone to play and adventure and wants to continuously grow and love and is motivated and strong and trusting and adventure. I can't say adventure enough because that's so my love language, and it's like just constantly trying to tap into mind, body, soul connection. That's it. And man, just knowing that I can have that. When I said I wanted a divorce, it was a freeing of shackles in a sense.
Yeah.
And then, I can manifest the life again that I want now. Like, I've done this before, and I know I can do it again. And I know I have to do it in a different way now that I have a child, that I have a home, I have my own business. I have dogs, I have responsibilities. And in my 20s, through my vagabond days, that was something that I wasn't tied to. I was never tied to a home. I was never grounded, with a family that's set here. And that's another thing with divorce is, it gets complicated when you have a child. If you want to move or if you want to start something over, especially when we have 50-50 time with her, because that's important, right? She needs both of us, and that's something we'll never, ever take away from her, never make her choose. Like, this is her journey through it too. And so as soon as everything hit, as soon as I had the free shackles and decision to make, like, I got deep into my practices and I got deep into my healing work even more than leading up to that. And then you also get deep into the reality. And Naya starts to go 7 days with her father, and then 7 days. It actually took some time to build up to that, but that's what we did. And man, that's been the hardest part of this entire thing, is letting go of control.
I struggle with control myself. I'm sure a lot of us do, but that's hard. So it's been a year. So where are you in your practices and your love for you now?
I'm currently doing a 5-week summer challenge around removing your biggest block in life that's getting in the way of whatever you look to manifest. So I'm a part of this group called To Be Magnetic.
Okay.
And they work with modern day meditations, hypnotherapies, EMDR, journaling, and throughout, it's just a structured 5-week challenge to get to that biggest block and then utilize all of these tools to rewire the neuroplasticity in your brain so that your subconscious isn't directly going to that protection mode, right? We've come up with all of these ways to protect ourselves from our childhood woundings that we continuously walk around living with, some of us our entire lives, because we don't try to go to the source and heal our childlike self that took on that wounding. Wow. So that's a big practice that I'm working with right now, and I love it. Oh, I love it so much. But as well, just making sure I'm constantly moving my body every day, loving it, putting good serving foods into it, putting good serving entertainment. It's like we all have our scrolling moments or TV, and I'm just making sure right now that it's just filled with a lot of love and not coming from a place of fear. That was a big thing right when I had the divorce, was I can no longer watch scary movies, murder mystery documentaries. Like, it just puts me in a place of anxiety and fear that serves me in no way, shape, or form. Yeah. And I don't need to allow that energy in, especially when I'm in such a vulnerable place and needing to heal. So I cleared that out. Yeah. I cleared out a lot of news and media, not everything, because with my real estate business, I stay connected. Yeah. And I want to make sure that I know what's going on in the world to an extent, but I don't let it come in and take over. My mindset is, I can't do anything right now directly to shift this or change this, or I can't put a vote in right now, or I can't, then there's no purpose of me knowing right now I'm not going to do anything except for fuel and anxiety and a fear that serves no great purpose. I need to come from a place of love and healing so I can give that back out. You know, and I'm slowly, with the election coming up, letting things start to come in a little bit more. So I am educated and mindful. And it's a great practice in that too. It's when I'm annoyed or feel triggered with something that comes up in the news or I disagree, I come back to my breath work and it's like, okay, it's fine. This is just what it is. Let me laugh about it and let's go feed the plants. Let's go for a walk outside barefoot. Like, it's cool.
That is so grounding. I'm also just like taking in, like, here we are in this room that is like so epic. Like, this room heals. This room you've created heals. Yeah. And it's just, I love this conversation and like the way that I don't know, everything just seems to flow right now in this moment. And I feel like if I've learned a lot this weekend, believe it or not. But grounding is very important. And if you have a strong grounding when you get side-swiped by your anxiety or side-swiped by a spiral or something, that's what's going to help you get back. Like, either A, combat it, like, well, block it. You have no space here. No, thank you. That's how I visualize my anxiety and my mental thoughts sometimes. Like, that's because they're constant and never ending. So I literally think of like blocking and like deterring it. But to hear you speak of such heavy moments and like to see you come out on the other side, so to speak, and I'm not saying you're out of the woods, like, because again, that's the theme. We are never out of the woods. Like, we're always working on ourselves and always striving. It's beautiful. And I hope that others listening, like, they can find that acceptance that you do deserve that peace and you do deserve that love. And I love that you really spoke to that. How do you feel now, a year out, in all of these pleasure practices and mindful practices and intention settings and all of this, and your beautiful daughter to be growing the way that she is and to be as like your mini me as possible? Like, that child is so cute and she is definitely beaten to her own drum. I love it. How is your feminine, divine goddess energy? How do you feel? How do you feel on your own frequency now?
I feel good. I do. I really feel like, I have my moments. I have my days. Everything is a season. If you had asked me this question back in the beginning of the year, it would have been a totally different answer. I was on a lower frequency. We were coming out of winter, trying to go into spring, come back to life. It was my first holiday session, divorced and navigating. And so summer is very much my season, and it's warm and there's so much sunlight and I spend so much time outside, and that's kind of the energy that I feel. Like, I feel like I'm just kind of light right now, and work is coming up around me, and I'm also trying to give a lot of grace to this healing time, because I don't look at it as constantly working on myself. I look at it as continuously loving myself.
Ooh. Oh, my Lord, I love that.
They changed that verbiage right there, and that's where the power and magic is.
That was beautiful. Yeah. I'm going to channel that. That is, because I do say that often. Like, I'm constantly working on myself, but I mean it like that. I'm continually loving myself.
You don't need to be worked on.
Girl, take my breath away. Right? Oh, my goodness. Some snaps. Holy shit.
I love that. But yeah, that's where I'm at with it right now.
Wow. Sorry, I'm still reeling from that. That was epic. That's beautiful. So what is, I don't know if advice is the right word, or advice, techniques, I don't know if, for anyone else, and whether they're going through a divorce or they're going through a major life shift, maybe they just have lost touch with who they are and trying to find that sense of self again and find that love. What is like some grounding techniques that you could recommend, or even just mindful practices?
So I will share what I share with yoga, and just in my own practices, but everyone's so unique, right? You're really going to find your own thing that works. And the biggest advice that I could give if you're in one of these chapters is find your community. No matter what that is, I know so many of us want to just retreat and retract and say that we're introverts. And in moments, we do need that. We do need that space and that alone time and healing. But it's so easy to get lost there. And you heal, you get through the hard times so much more gracefully. Maybe not faster, because that's not the point.
Right.
It's not a point of the human experience. You're supposed to experience it, not just get on to the next thing.
Thank you. I need that reminder.
Right? And so it's find your community that feeds your soul, whatever that is, and give it as much love as you possibly can. And it's just going to pour into you in the most beautiful ways. And you're going to come back. You're going to walk into this next chapter where you come back into your light and you get out of the dark, and you're going to feel so much more like yourself than you might ever have. And it's so fucking worth it. And you are so fucking worth it.
I love that. You are so worth that. No matter where you are in your journey, whether you're a mom, whether you're not, whether you're, I don't even know, transitioning to something, job, career, life. It's a good reminder for us all, and to continually be loving yourself. That is my new thing. I'm going to say that to myself anytime I find myself spiraling, whatever, because that is so much stronger than, we're constantly working on ourselves. It is amazing. Like when they say sticks and stones, I'm like, sticks and stones, they break our bones and words never hurt you. No, words are powerful.
Words are power.
Words can change your whole universe.
Well, it was like we were saying just yesterday. The opposite frequency of love isn't hate, it's fear. It's fear. If you hate, you're in such a deep place of fear, and you don't have to stay there. Like, that fear doesn't exist when you are in a total place of love. Because you don't have to have any fear.
Right.
You're safe. You're at peace.
Right.
And it's a practice, right?
Right.
Everything. Keep coming back to it. But just love. That's it.
And peace. That's the answer. That's what we all want. It's definitely what I've been striving for lately. I did a birth chart reading earlier this year from the person you recommended, Deborah Silverman. Well, she didn't do it because she's very expensive, but her team did. One of her people on her team did. I think I talked about this on the podcast, and she shared with me that my biggest obstacle in this lifetime is protecting my peace from my mind. And it's like ever since that call out, and not that I didn't notice it before, but I've been very aware of it. And I'm like, wow, I can I don't want to say ruin. That's a very extreme word, but like I can make something less pleasurable, maybe dim the brightness a little bit because of my anxiety or because of my overthinking. Or because once you start going, it's easier to for your brain to be like, oh, well, now you're just less than, or now it's not going to happen. And I don't have those spirals too often now, but I'm very mindful of it. And go back to peace, go back to loving myself, going back to like manifesting the life I want, and like knowing that I have that power and not letting that fear, because my fear is the anxiety. I know anxiety is fear of the unknown, fear of the control. I think control is a thing I have to work on. So it's a good reminder for that. I completely agree. So do you have any grounding techniques you'd like to share for anyone listening on how to maybe tap into their feminine energy when they feel a little all over the place, they feel a little wily, maybe they feel a little disconnected from their self?
Yeah, you want to do a little something?
Let's do a little something.
I love that it also just started to, right when you said that, it started to rain down. My roof here in the Florida room is just a little tin roof, so it'll be so wonderful.
No, I was just thinking that, so thank you for calling that. I was like, oh, this is happening. Yep.
All right, well, get cozy. We'll drop in. Whether you're seated, lying down, even if you're driving in a car right now listening to this, we're just going to get into our parasympathetic nervous system, that rest, digest, peace state. So if you have your arms crossed in any way, uncross them. Place some palms face down on top of your thighs, just so they have a purposeful place to rest. And then if you feel safe, close your eyes. Not if you're driving.
Please don't.
Close your eyes. And let's take a deep breath in through the nose. Open the mouth, let it go. One more time. Inhale. Exhale. Just gently seal your lips. Take a moment to just notice how you're showing up right here, right now. No matter what that answer is, don't bring in judgment, just accept it. And just notice the space around the crown of your head. And notice the space between your eyes. Let your eyelids become a little bit heavier. Relax your jaw. Release the tongue from the roof of the mouth. Notice the space around your throat. Relax your shoulders down. Relax your arms totally. Relax your hands, fingers. Begin to notice the space around your heart. And then your belly. Relax your belly. Notice your hips, your glutes, tops of the thighs, hamstrings, knees, shins, calves, ankles, tops of the feet, soles of the feet. And take a full breath in. And let it go. Bring one hand to the heart, one hand to the belly. And take a moment to name 3 things that you love about you. And once you've named those 3 things in your own way, in your own words, just tell yourself, I love you, and I'm grateful for you. And wrap your arms around yourself. Give yourself a big squeeze, a little hug, maybe a kiss, shoulder to shoulder. Thank you for the moment of peace. Thank you for the moment of love. Thank you for the reminder that I deserve this. And then slowly open your eyes and come back.
That was almost emotional for me. It was a little bit.
I love that.
It was. Just sitting with the love for myself. Like, I'm so used to, I'm so used to the internet, like the negative narrative. It was so beautiful to hear the positive.
And that's you. That's all you, girl.
Didn't expect to get emotional. And then the rain, that was like just so perfect. I started smiling when I heard that.
Wash it all away.
Yeah, that's exactly how I felt. Wow.
And you can come back to that anytime. It's just find a quiet place if you can. It doesn't take long. That probably took 3 minutes, maybe a little bit more. You can take 3 minutes in your day. You can take 10 minutes in your day to love yourself intentionally. You know, even if you're washing your face at the end of the day, instead of just washing it like, oh, my face is so beautiful. I'm going to clean you so kindly. You're going to be so beautiful and glowing. And it might sound silly, but those little shifts that you do and the practices that we do every single day to take care of ourselves, do it from a place of love, and it becomes a ceremony, and that trickles out into everything else that you do.
It doesn't become, it's not a chore. It's
not
not
a
a task.
chore.
It's a ritual. Oh, I love that. That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing your you-ness.
Thank you.
And
Giving
for
me space too.
and being comfortable and safe. And I don't know. Thank you. I feel like I needed that more than anything. And I'm sure others listening are going to need it too. I love you.
I love you.
Like, I'm just like tears like welling in my eyes. I'm just like, I just want to give you the biggest hug.
Oh, do it, please.
You're the best. Thank you for showing me. Thank you for showing me why it's so important to truly be so in touch with yourself. It's not something to ignore. We do not need to ignore anything when it comes to us not loving ourselves like fully. And thank you for showing me that even in the hurriedness of the day or the 1,000-line item to-do list, this still matters to connect with you, connect with yourself.
This matters more than any of that.
It matters more than anything.
Yeah, more than any of it.
And I'm willing to bet that me taking this type of intention setting and mindfulness, I feel like it's going to help the anxiety and the ADHD and like the thought spiral. I'm not saying it's going to cure it. That's my quest of the life. I've already said that. I already know it's my journey this lifetime, but it's something that's going to make it easier and help it. So
I'm glad to share.
Because
Anytime, girl.
Because I think it also will feed into the things that I said that I love about myself too. Yeah. One of the things I said was my dreams. Yeah. I really do love that about me, to think that I can do it, to know that I can do it.
Because if you're already dreaming it, it's already there.
Right.
Your life is showing you.
Yep. I agree.
Girl.
My goodness. Well, do you want to tee up your social media at all for anyone if anybody would like to follow you and follow the mindful practices? Because I feel like you do share that kind of content.
I do share. So I've actually recently, my public Instagram, I did I called it a purge. I don't know if I want to call it a purge anymore, but a boundary setting on the energy that I allow in my space. So that one is, if you're not in a really close inner circle with me, unless we become that, that's for that space. But I do share a ton on even with my yoga practices, on my real estate Instagram page, and that's at Ashley Rossy Realtor. So follow me on there. You'll always see beautiful stories and posts of the water and what's going on down here on the Gulf, and my yoga practices and my cool kids. So yeah.
And then you might find yourself moving down here, so.
Who doesn't want to live at the beach? I mean, I know some people don't. It's not the vibe. It's not their calling place. But if it is, and you haven't been down here to the beaches in Alabama, I've lived all over the world, y'all, and there's something special here.
They're hidden gems. They really are.
Yeah.
I completely agree. Well, I'll make sure I tag you in the show notes. Anyone who's following or who would like to follow and keep up with the amazing Ashley Rossy, they can.
Thanks.
And I hope everyone listening enjoyed this episode. You can watch it on YouTube. If you're not following me there, that's at the In Between Podcast. And then I'll be sharing clips and things like that. So you can follow me on Instagram at in.betweenpod and Elizabeth Cheney _ and if you like today's episode, please share it with a friend, a sister, a mother, an aunt, your coworker, maybe your neighbor, maybe the Publix checkout worker. Maybe they need a nice pick-me-up. I don't know.
Go make a new friend and share.
Exactly. Share. Because I think everyone could take something from this.
We want to share the love.
We want to share the love.
That's it.
It's all love.
Thank you so much for sharing your space with me. This was really cool.
All right. Well, until next time.
Until next time.
Bye.
Mwah.